Hello, and welcome to the PC Gaming Week Spot, your recap of the last 7 days in PC video gaming. Although this week it's kind of, we're looking at the next 7 days really, but either way, my name is Colin Mahern, and joining me this week, descending from the ceiling like a Lamborghini at a Microsoft E3 press conference, it's the one and only Mr. Matthew Castle.
Hello.
Hello, Matthew. How are you?
Good. I should have descended.
That's some good descending. That is some good descending. Obviously, the cultural reference is going to be about the Electronic Entertainment Expo because that's all the world is talking about these days as we gear up for an exciting time in video games, an all digital E3. But I suppose we're
a second all digital.
Yeah. No, a first all digital because they didn't do it last year. Last year
What?
they just last year they just cancelled it outright, didn't they?
So what happened? God,
I think so.
It was such a blur.
Yeah.
All I remember from last year was doing live stream reactions to a few conferences. They were quite good fun.
Yeah, we did. They were, because that's what last year was, when everyone just said we'll do our own thing. And then it's sort of come back into ETH. I don't know. It's very.
I think they're all still sort of doing their own things. It still involves sort of going around the houses and watching 15 different streams, which have all kind of trying to carve a bit of space. Obviously, none of them happen at the same time, which means that to watch it all, you basically start watching at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and then
just keep on going.
Keep going till like 3 or 4 in the morning.
Yeah.
Which sucks.
Exciting times ahead. But look, let's just crack on. We have a lot of E3 stuff to discuss and speculate on and all the rumours and all that. But before that, Matthew, other things have been happening in video games. So can you grab your news crank for me and open that gob of yours, because I have some information snacks for you.
Info snacks for his gob.
Not many. Only a couple of info snacks this week.
Okay, well, that's all right.
So, starting off, Knockout City has apparently amassed...
Jesus. Is that one of the info snacks?
Yeah, it's apparently amassed 5 million players. And they've changed the setup once more because it was going to be like, we're going to give it to you free for the first 10 days. And now what they're doing is it's free for the first 25 levels of your character. And then you have to buy it. So I think in the end, they got there. It took them a while. And, as I said on here, and it's reviewed like surprisingly well as well. It's a good game. You should
yeah.
Go and play it.
Fair play to him.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to go the way of Rocket Island or whatever it was called.
Rocket Arena.
Yeah.
A game that we don't know what way it's going to go is 2 Point Campus, because technically it's not been officially revealed yet, but
I thought it had been.
Unless it has since I was off for a couple of days last week. Maybe it had. I thought it was a Microsoft Store listing inadvertently revealed it.
It was that, but I think it has since been formally announced.
Oh, okay.
No, okay. No, you're right. It's the listing.
Yeah, this is the successor, apparently, to 2 Point Hospital, where you build a university. The listing was obviously taken down, but it's. I suppose it makes sense, doesn't it? I could see, building a campus and tending to the needs of all the students.
It maybe doesn't have, in my head, running a campus doesn't have the urgency that feels like quite a key kind of mechanical ingredient in certainly the hospital games, where you're trying to keep on top of the problem.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that the education of future generations isn't important, but it's not like no one's going to die if you don't have a geography lesson.
Well, some of those freshers weeks, Matthew, they can get rowdy, so I don't know.
Yeah.
And related to E3-ish sort of news, but at the same time, it's its own thing. Who knows anymore? But Battlefield 6 still hasn't been like totally unveiled to the public, but it's, I don't know, they've been drip feeding stuff, and we're going to get the full reveal, whatever that means, I suppose the gameplay, on the 9th of June at 3 p.m. So, cool. Whatever they're going to be calling it. There are rumours that it's going to just be called Battlefield. I saw another one. Oh, what was it? There was some other subtitle they gave it. But
why are people scared of like the high sequel numbers? When they get to those, that's when they loop back round and it becomes just Battlefield again.
Well, my understanding is that they're scared because, say, if somebody who's 18 now, and maybe they didn't play all the other Battlefields, and they're like, Battlefield 6? Oh no, I won't be able to follow the story. And then they go,
story.
I'll leave it, and then I'll go somewhere else. Now, obviously,
a soldier blows up a building.
Obviously, in Battlefield, the story isn't important. All you need to know is that Levolution is king. But in other games, you do have to, I suppose, there is a concern about the story. So I'm guessing that's where the idea comes from. Is like, you know, they don't want to scare off potential customers, I suppose. So I guess that's it.
It would be exciting to see how big a building we'll be demolishing this time around.
Able to levolute, yeah. I'm really looking forward to it. So those are your information snacks for this week. Now it's time to get on to the big... No, I normally say news stories, but I guess it's speculation. Whatever. Play the music, Hugh.
Hello, I'm Hugh Edwards. Working in news is exciting.
Yes, headlines and hot takes is, again, usually where we talk about what has happened. But this week, we're going to talk about what is definitely going to happen. No doubt about it. This is the final word on E3 2021. So that's what we're going to do, Matthew. We're going to look at what is probably the strangest of E3s and speculate on all of those juicy rumours and what games may be coming out, what could be revealed, etc., etc. Yes, a very odd E3, because typically, you know, you get your biggies. You get your Nintendo, Microsoft, Sony, Ubisoft, and, you know, for a couple of years, Square will be there, and a couple of years, Activision will be there, and a couple of years, you know, EA will be there. Like, but this year, it just seems like, looking at on the official website, everyone's doing their own little thing. So it's difficult to say how meaty some of these will be, like Bandai Namco's, or even I've seen conflicting reports on Take-Two, because on the official E3 website, it says Take-Two are hosting a panel on diversity and something else, as far as I can remember. But a lot of places have reported that Take-Two are actually doing their own presentation. So I don't know. People are...
Ooh, yeah. I wonder if there'll be much interplay as well, because, you know, what usually happens at E3 is you have like the big... The first party platform, you know, the platform holders try and get people to announce stuff in their shows, which they then sort of say, you know, and tune into Ubisoft show tomorrow to see more. I wonder if we'll still get that kind of interplay, because there wasn't a lot of that last year.
I think that was just because it was just so spread out that it was like, tune in a month's time to see more on Assassin's Creed. I don't know.
And there was also last year the business of getting 2 new platforms out kind of got in the way of everything. So without that, it can be games o'clock.
TikTok.
That's the dream, which is my favourite time.
So
right now it's 1:45 games.
Well, speaking of time, let's do this in order. So, and I'm like, we're just going to look at solely the like publishers and developers and their own little conferences that they have said at what time, because technically it starts with Jeff Keighley's thing, but that could, I don't know, everything could show up in that. We'll do a little miscellaneous thing at the end. So the first official thing is Cook Prime Time, which is apparently happening on Friday, June the 11th at 8 p.m. our time. This would be Deep Silver, and this is an odd one because, as far as I'm aware, Deep Silver have confirmed that the 4 properties that people would have interest in, which would be the new Time Splitters, the new Metro, which is confirmed to be happening, Dead Island 2, and Saints Row 5, Dead Silver have said you are not going to see anything on those games. So, what does this become then? Do we get the revival of Homefront, Matthew? Do we get a bit of Kingdom Come Deliverance? What do we get from Deep Silver here? It seems, why are they even doing this?
I have no idea. That is really weird. What? I mean, it's not, they haven't, it's not like this isn't happening, but maybe there'll be some fun surprises.
I don't believe so. Like,
is that the tone of it? Or is the tone of it just like, don't expect? I mean, that's really baffling.
It's so baffling because, well, I suppose Dead Island 2 and Saints Row 5.
Well, I couldn't, if you put a gun to my head, I couldn't tell you anything else they're doing.
Maybe something on Kingdom Come, or whatever, I suppose. This Deliverance would be the subtitle, isn't it? So I suppose maybe something on a new Kingdom Come, maybe. I strongly doubt we'll get a new Homefront, but a very odd one when you take out those 4 games. Yeah.
They're publishing Payday 3. People are excited for that. People like Payday 2.
They do.
I tell you what people don't like is me playing Payday 2, because the few times I've tried to jump on and I don't know what I'm doing, people get really cross with you.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So that's the appeal of Payday 3. It's a chance to like reset all of that. And, you know, everyone's an idiot on day one. And it's like the day no one can shout at you. No one can be cross on the day a game launches.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But several years after, they can be very cross.
We'll see what they announce in that. That's a strange one. Then on Saturday, we have Gearbox's thing, which hasn't been given a fancy name, but they are apparently going to be there showing something on the 12th of June at whatever time. A lot of these aren't given times either. It is a bit slapdash, a lot of it. But what is probably going to be at Gearbox's thing is Wonderlands, which is the rumoured Borderlands spin-off that in the past week, I don't know, one of the premier games journalists was like, yeah, it's Wonderlands. And it is a spin-off starring Tiny Tina, one of the most annoying characters in Borderlands. And that's saying a lot in Borderlands.
Popular.
But yes, surprisingly.
With the fans. I believe her DLC was the most popular DLC in Borderlands 2.
Oh, I forgot the D9de board game. Yeah. So
bunkers and badasses.
Whether you play as her or what, I don't know, but probably going to get a look at that. There's talk of the new Gearbox game that we spoke about a couple of weeks ago.
But that could be that Wonderlands, right?
That's they're 2 separate entities, apparently. Gearbox are working on a Borderlands game, which would be this Wonderlands, and also something else, whatever that is. But yeah, other Gearbox things: Homeworld 3, Duke Nukem, Matthew, Bring the King Back, Brothers in Arms. like again, it seems odd to me, with all due respect to Gearbox, like for Gearbox to do their own thing. And that's where like a lot of these, like Gearbox, few others that we'll talk about in a while, like maybe these things are going to be like 15 minutes long. Like I don't see these things being an hour and a half.
Right.
Because like Gearbox aren't going to bring back Duke Nukem. I don't know, maybe something on a Homeworld.
I guess like, you know, you sometimes get those sort of smaller game announcements at things like PAX. Like Gearbox have done that before. And with there not being like physical PAXs at the moment, or at least I don't think there are, that would, maybe we'll just see a higher concentration of stuff here than we would usually see. That'd be exciting.
So yeah, we'll see. No. Here's something we can actually talk about a little more in depth. Ubisoft Forward. This is happening on Saturday, the 12th of June at 8 p.m. And we know some games that will 100% be there. So, Far Cry 6 is going to be there. Rainbow Six Quarantine /Parasite / whatever they end up calling it is going to be there. Riders Republic is apparently going to be there. And we're going to get like Siege and Valhalla DLC and stuff like that, but that's all old. Yuck. We only care about new stuff.
No, that's not true.
Far Cry 6, it seems odd to me that you would have something big in when it comes to Far Cry 6 here, purely because like in the last week we had that. We had the gameplay reveal. We had the kind of 10 to 15 minute here's your narrative director talking about it. Here's cinematic trailer. Here's a bit of gameplay. So to go in depth on Far Cry more here, I don't know. I don't see it.
Maybe, I don't know. Maybe that event they did was to sort of lay the foundations. They had a lot they wanted to say. They wanted to like lay the game out, get everyone on the same page so that when you get to like your E3 presentation, you can do like a deeper dive on a particular aspect. It tends to be the flavor of these. Like if you've done what they just did at E3, it would hog and like drown out the rest of the show, wouldn't it? Because there was just so much stuff in it.
Yeah, it was a pretty deep dive they did on Far. Like, what else would you do? I don't know, but like have another trailer.
Yeah, like what they showed in that last presentation was largely missing Gus Fring, of course. So like he's probably like the showiest bit of the game in that he's like famous, a celebrity or whatever. So I wouldn't be surprised if they went deeper on his stuff or showed, because I remember like one of the more effective announcements or presentations they did at E3 was for like Far Cry 4, where they just basically showed you the first 10 minutes of the game where you arrive and you meet Pagan Min, and it was just a really sort of a great introduction to that character. It kind of made sense to introduce him that way. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a demo with a bit of Gus action.
Perhaps, yeah. Did you like what you saw in the gameplay reveal?
Yeah.
It's Far Cry.
Yeah, sort of enough. I sometimes sort of struggle with sort of like a lot of games have like revolutionaries and rebellions and things, and it's there's some quite played out tropes that's kind of easy to fall into that stuff. Have we replaced it with something worse? Or is often the one they sort of go for in the idea of like working with all these sort of Mad Cat characters, and so that gives me pause. But I like the idea that one of the big things they seem to be talking about is that you kind of start combat on like your own terms, that you can kind of enter quite hostile areas. It's not just this person is sort of shot on sight, 'cause as far as you're concerned. As far as they're concerned, they think you're just a civilian until you reveal yourself as a sort of guerrilla fighter. And the idea of like a space where you can maybe like navigate it in like more hostile areas and kind of get a taste of that. That's kind of interesting, I think. I don't give a fuck about that dog with the wheels, I must admit. That doesn't do anything for me. That's naff. And
if it was a cat with wheels,
no, just comedy animals. I don't know. I know that they've had battle bears and battle pigs and stuff, but chorizo does nothing for me.
The dog too cutesy for you. You want a vicious.
Really leaves me cold.
Killer dog. I mean, it looked like Far Cry. I like Far Cry. Sign me up. Also, say what you will about Ubisoft. They got done a little bit with all the political talk with regards to this, because when you see the gameplay reveal, you're like, oh, Cuba, like it's transparent, and they're not stupid. They knew that as well, and what they said kind of got a little bit muddled and things, which they then clarified, which is a bit, they take their licks, and a lot of the time, rightfully so. That was a bit, yeah. I like Far Cry. This looks like a good, Far Cry. I like the charismatic baddie. Who better than Gus Fring? Sign me up. Rainbow Six Quarantine, again, /Parasite / whatever they end up calling it. The only thing we have to go on is what we saw back in 2019, wasn't it? Which was like a minute-long trailer. Then, obviously, pandemic happens. The word quarantine, it takes on a whole new meaning for a lot of people. So, yeah, they're probably going to call it something else. But at the time, this was going to be a 3-person co-op game involving, aliens and whatever else. Like, the trailer didn't tell us much, and they haven't said much since. Like, this doesn't look like, again, if it's still in the same shape that it was when we first saw it, this doesn't look like it's going to replace Siege. It looks like it's sort of a complement to it, because, I suppose they don't want to kill Siege. They want to keep that going. I don't know. We'll see. Any bets on what they're going to call it, Matthew?
That Parasite thing sounded. I mean, I have no idea what it's going to be. Yeah, sounds good.
What about Riders Republic? This is the thing from the Steep team.
I think that looks like the general picture sort of Steep, but with more disciplines and a bit more character to it.
Fun Steep,
which I'm on board with. I actually think Steep's pretty good. I like being dropped at the top of a big mountain and then whizzing down it. Whizzing down slopes is
good.
It's generally a fun thing to do.
When mountains talk, though, I don't know about that. I'm not that far. I wasn't fond of the talking mountain in Steep. Hopefully, Riders Republic won't have any talking mountains or trees or anything.
Imagine it'd be quite zany. There'll be some zany hills.
Oh, there will be, won't there?
No, yeah, I like. Absolutely, that's fine. Like the fun sporting games, scratches the kind of SSX itch, maybe.
Yeah, and that's probably what they're going for. So that's meant to be out now, but it's been pushed to be announced 2021. So I don't know, maybe we'll get a release date here. As I said, there's going to be DLC for Valhalla and Rainbow Six Siege. You liked the last Valhalla DLC.
Yeah, I did. I think the next one needs to do something a bit more different, rather than it's just the main game again, except this time everyone's got French accents, which is because they're going to France. I hope it's a bit more experimental than the last one, which was really just like more Valhalla in just the simplest way.
The Division Heartland, that might show up. This was the thing they announced back in May. And through leaks, we've seen that, if those leaks are to be believed, and it seems like they are, it seems like the game has 2 modes, PvE and PvEVP. It kind of just looks a lot like the Division, but maybe a little bit smaller. And perhaps we get other free-to-play stuff, like that Roller Champions. Like we spoke a couple of weeks ago about Ubisoft themselves saying, like, we're going to go hard on free-to-play. So maybe we get a half an hour on the Division Heartland and other free-to-play offerings, perhaps. But I have a couple of long shot / no hopers for you, Matthew.
Okay.
Do we get any Skull and Bones?
Who knows? I mean, they're apparently sticking with it, aren't they? But it's been so long.
Yeah. It was first. Do you know when it was first revealed?
It's got to be like 2017 or something.
Bang on. E3 2017 was when it was first revealed.
People played it at E3 like 3-4 years ago.
So what's happened?
Yeah, did they not have a good time?
Maybe not. I don't know. Here's a biggie for you, and a game that again was first announced at E3 2017. Beyond Good and Evil 2.
I have no idea what that even is. You know, from those developer things they've done, it's sounds like a bit of an impossible game. Its pitch is so wild that you're like flying around these basically like. It's like a galaxy, isn't it? Isn't it like different planets and things?
I feel like you could say anything about Beyond Good and Evil 2, and at one point, you know, in history, it would be like, yes, the game was that.
The pitch of it seems so far removed from what the original game was, and it was only ever really a cult classic. It wasn't like a big thing to begin with. The idea that, like, I don't know, if you've got a cult classic and you're going to do more, you kind of stick to, you know, what made it work for those people. The idea of like, oh, this thing no one really cared for. This is a good basis for something loads of people will care for. So let's just blow it up and blow it up and blow it up. I mean, whatever that game is, I think the messaging around it's been absolutely horrible. I mean, maybe like cool and ambitious, but just a fucking mess in terms of, what is it? You know?
Yeah. I remember that Space Monkey program, whatever it was, and people could sign up.
Haven't all the kind of creative leads on it left at this point?
Well, that's what I was going to say. Like Michel Ancel, he left the company. I think the timeline was he left, and then allegations came out after him.
Right.
Yeah, people in the team were saying that like his management was all over the place. It was disorganized. So like, Beyond Good and Evil 2, apparently not in the best of shapes. I would be surprised. I mean, it could show up, but I would be surprised. Mm-hmm. Then we get 2 movie games from Massive. Like they're working on the Avatar game and the Star Wars game. The Star Wars game was only announced back at the start of this year. Yeah. When EA, the license ran up and everyone was like, we're going to make a Star Wars game. But the Avatar game was announced back in 2017 and there's been nothing on it since. Now, when is Avatar 2?
Surely that's tied to like
I was just going to say, when is Avatar 2 meant to be out? Is that this year? Or is there any date?
No, we've not seen the trailer for it or anything. It's one of these just weird ongoing things. I can't see us seeing the game before we see the film.
Yeah. But I would doubt it. And then we have some, talking about hitting hopes. Ghost Recon, The Crew 3, Splinter Cell, and Rayman.
Very quickly, Avatar 2, Wikipedia says its initial release is going to be the 16th of December 2022.
Oh, okay.
So still a long way away.
No Avatar game then, probably. Any of those series from Ubisoft's history, The Crew, Ghost Recon, Splinter Cell, Rayman, any that you would like to see, any that you think we might see?
Well, in terms of what we might see, absolutely no idea. No rumblings there. I'd love Rayman, Rayman Legends. I thought was absolutely amazing.
Love a Rayman. Like Rayman. The 2 games I want are a new Splinter Cell and a new Rayman. And we're not going to get a new Splinter Cell or a new Rayman because both Sam Fisher and Rayman have been relegated to showing up in shite. And just as DLC characters or free DLC or whatever, it's like stick Rayman in Brawlhalla. It's like, no, give me a new Rayman game, but I'll never get it. So
Brawlhalla. Rayman, as a proven thing is top of my list. After that, Splinter Cell, definitely. I'd be interested to see like what they could do with it. I wasn't wild about Blacklist or whatever the last one was called. But I really liked Conviction. I thought that was great. Really good fun. So yes please, Splinter Cell, The Crew, and Ghost Recon.
The Crew. Like the crew is a funny one because I think a lot of people would go, they don't give a shit about the crew. The crew is well, but in their last earnings call, they mentioned the crew as like one of their tentpole franchises. So I don't think they're going to let that die. I mean, the last crew, and this is going off memory, but I don't think that was that well received, was it? That was the one where you could change from a boat to a car to a plane. I think it was a mixed reception.
It was like the whole of America, wasn't it? Or was that the crew one?
I think that was the first crew, I think. Anyway, that's Ubisoft. And that's happening on the Saturday. On the Sunday, on June 13th at 6 p.m, we get probably the biggest of the lot. We get the Xbox and Bethesda Games Showcase. So let's kind of split these up. I wonder actually how split up they will be, because they are positioning this as Xbox and Bethesda. I mean, how long until Bethesda is just sort of folded in? I suppose it has a big enough name now for them to like separate it as its own entity.
Yeah, the pitch is also like ever since they got them has been they'll be relatively sort of self-governing. You know, we don't want to kind of come in and like mess with the magic.
Before we talk about Bethesda, let's look at Xbox. Matthew, we have to get new Halo, don't we? We have to get new Halo that is going to blow the socks off of people. New gameplay, looks all shiny, amazing lighting, particle effects, aliens, incredible, and a release date. That's my Halo prediction.
Yeah, Halo Infinite has got like a huge pressure to deliver on that after the last reveal. If you've been following the blog posts, they've been talking like a really good game, but of course they would. They're making it. But, you know, they keep talking about how much it's come on. And, you know, I was always under the impression that, like, you know, an entire year wasn't necessarily enough to like fully turn around something or fully change something. So I'm like really interested what they've achieved in the year. Maybe they've just got oh man alive, big pressure on that demo. yeah. I mean, I'm one of the people that when I saw the first one, I was like, I don't think this is shit. I don't understand the anger. No, I thought it was fine. It wasn't necessarily like the problem with Halo is that Microsoft present it, and it's like the closest thing they have to like a Mario or Uncharted. It's probably their most cherished first party thing. Yeah. But it arguably hasn't been their best first party thing since the 360. I mean, you know, Halo 3, ODST Reach, great also, but it's never, I don't know. I don't think 343 have necessarily like ever knocked out the park. I think they've made I think Halo 4 is absolutely solid. I really enjoyed it. Halo 5 less so. What I hope they don't do is just have them start. Is that half the demo is a fucking cutscene where characters you've never really heard of and you don't really care about blabble about Halo lore, which is like my least favorite bit of the entire franchise is everything that happens outside of the action. That was the problem with Halo 5. It got so bogged down with that. So, that's what was tough about that last demo. Is it started with like Master Chief and the pilot for ages talking, and then he kind of got out, and you already felt a bit deflated by the time anything actually happened. So yeah, just yeah, big action explosions. Get him in one of those little Covenant planes, have him flying around, and like at the end, you get the. What did they call him? Craig, is it? You get him at the revealing the release date at the end of the trailer, and everyone smiles and loves Halo again. That's my prediction. Craig, but this time he's just the most incredible, beautiful, photorealistic character you've ever seen. It's like a leap forward for like visual animation. Another big series that they have on their books is Fable. Now, this is kind of more like Halo. We could probably say, that will be there. Fable,
I'm not as confident. The only thing we've seen is that, again, like very short teaser trailer, about a minute long, from last summer.
Mm-hmm.
What are the odds on us getting a kind of a deeper look at the new Fable?
It's hard to say, really. I mean, from afar, you're always reading stories about like Fable recruitment. Like, it sounds like they're still building that team up. You'd hope you'd get another look, even if just like another tonal piece. I really like the teaser for the Fable that they did.
The character that they sort of captured in that minute-long trailer was great.
I'm really up for it. And any information about this game, I want to like gobble down. It's also, I mean, well, I say that it's also one of those games which, like, you know, one of the very few games that I would kind of like to go in a little bit blind on, but you know, you want to know enough to know that it's fine.
Another game that is meant to be coming out this year. We don't have a nailed on release date, but it's apparently 2021. Is Psychonauts 2. Strong possibility that maybe that we don't get like loads on that because it's already coming out, and there's been a lot of trailers and all that. But may show up in some way, shape, or form. But we made reference to it at the start of this week's episode of The Weak Spot. Matthew, we're going to get cars, but what type of cars are we going to get? Are we going to get the cool renegade cars? Or are we going to get the sleek racetrack cars? Because the rumour mill is spinning, and that says that Forza Horizon 5 is on the horizon. It's going to be set in Mexico, and that's kind of, I think Games Leaker Grubb, he was talking about that. But what we've seen, going back to, again, this showcase that they did in the summer of 2020, we have seen, like, again, very short teaser, 1 minute trailer for Forza Motorsport, presumably 8. They didn't number it then. So, and like, that's how they work. They alternate. It's Motorsport Horizon, Motorsport Horizon. Horizon was the last one. I feel like it was universally loved. Horizon 4 is an excellent video game. Do you see them? Would you prefer them to kind of capitalize on the popularity of Horizon 4? Or do you think, well, it only makes sense that the next car game we're going to get is Motorsport 8?
It's true. I like the rumor mill is so convinced that it is Horizon 5. In a way that you're kind of willing to sort of believe the rumor mill knows what it's talking about, because, you know, that people are talking about it, you know, right down to the details of where it's set and things like that, which, I don't know, points to something. Also, the way they talked about motorsport at like the Xbox launch, you know, it was kind of like, here's like some tech, here's sort of like, here's what we're going for. It sounded like a game that was quite far off. You know, it's like, we have announced that we've begun work on the next motorsport. That said, it is then quite odd to sort of, you know, for the messaging then to be, you know, we've started work on this. Oh, but we've already nearly finished work on this other next gen Forza. Unless it's more of a kind of transition one. I mean, it would be, I mean, we'll get one, I mean, for sure. I mean, this year, it would be mad if we didn't, because, you know, they've never gone that long without them.
And that's like, you know, that's how you show off, from their point of view, that's how you show off your lovely new console, is like, look at the cars we made. Aren't they very sexy? And a lot of people go, yes, they are. So yeah, we get a Forza.
I mean, maybe,
which one?
Like, maybe we get like a cross-generation Horizon 5. Next year, once consoles are a bit more kind of like bedded in, that's when you release Motorsport, which is only going to be on Series X maybe. And it's like the full, here's like, behold, you will think this car is real inside your telly. You will try and climb into your telly and drive it. It is that realistic.
Another game that they have on their books, Senua's Saga 2 Hellblade. Why they've changed the naming convention, fuck knows. But they have done. Again, only thing we've seen, very cinematic trailer, focus on Senua and like you see a bit of like Iceland and it's watery and whatever else. This is another one that is meant to be coming out this year as well, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm not following this one closely. I'm not mad about Hellblade.
Oh, I liked it. I recognize its flaws. You know, some people had an issue with the kind of depiction of Senua and just the combat, like it being not the trickiest of games. I quite liked it. I liked the world. I liked the kind of setting. But yeah, I can totally see people kind of not getting on with those perspective puzzles and all that.
Yeah, I don't know. It just didn't really stick with me. I thought it was fine. It's not like, I don't know. It's not a world like I'm hugely invested in. I don't know if its tone is just a bit sort of dour for my liking.
It's not the cheeriest of.
That's the thing. It's like the anti-Fable.
I suppose Avowed is a little bit Fable-y, isn't it? That's the.
Well, we have no idea what that is.
Like, you know, fantasy-ish.
The thing is that Fable's like the antidote to traditional RPGs. It's a lot lighter on its feet. It doesn't get bogged down in lore. I mean, it's Fable and fairy tale as opposed to like heavy fantasy, I'd say, where Avowed and just Obsidian's RPG stuff in general is cut from that kind of sort of heartier cloth. So, I mean, like, I think they'll be very, very different games. I think. Like, Avowed, just from what they showed, looks a lot more like in the vein of like a
Skyrim, Elder Scroll. Like you have. I think he has a little sword and a flame in one hand. It looks very Elder Scrolls.
And it's interesting because then you know. There is obviously crossover between Bethesda and Obsidian. You know, they both did, Fallout games. So we got to see them playing in the same universe. What they, how those things would differ. It is interesting to think. I mean, I know Avowed's not an Elder Scrolls thing, isn't it? Rumored to be set in the Pillars of Eternity universe, maybe.
Oh, that does ring a bell. Yeah.
Did I read that somewhere? I think. But I am interested what like a first-person traditional open world, we assume open world kind of RPG from Obsidian would look like. I mean, how it would differ, what would they leave their mark on? Because largely it's because they've worked in that kind of classic RPG kind of isometric thing. Is that is the point of difference?
Do you think it shows up here? Or do you think it's a little bit too early?
I hope so. I mean, it's definitely one like I'm super interested to see more of.
Age of Empires 4 probably be shown off as well. Yeah. I mean, that's another one, like, that's coming out. Again, I feel like that's another kind of a Psychonauts deal where, we've seen a bit. We haven't seen as much, obviously, of Age of Empires 4 as we have of Psychonauts, but
I think the site has, and Nate's seen the.
Oh, no, but that's what I was going to say. Like, it's done the preview rounds, and I feel like if it does show up, it will be kind of maybe quick sizzle reel. I don't know if we're going to get a big deep dive. On the Bethesda side of things then, if we look at things kind of more concrete, Deathloop, but again, we've seen a lot of that. If it shows up, it'll be quick and whatever else.
Well, it's tricky as well, because currently it's a PlayStation exclusive.
This is true, yeah.
So whether that just means that it'll be at the PlayStation conference, I mean, there aren't many other PlayStation exclusives this year, so it's coming to PC as well. But console-wise, I would expect that at PlayStation, not Xbox.
Ghostwire Tokyo, though, that's the interesting one. That is the big rumor is October 2021, which makes sense, could happen.
I'm up for that. Bit of Tango Gameworks, love the Evil Within, love a bit of Shinji Mikami.
I could really go for a bit of Ghostwire Tokyo, yeah. I was kind of turned off of The Evil Within from a lot of people saying it wasn't very good. In particular, The Evil Within 2. The Evil Within, I think, it has its fans, doesn't it? The first one.
I like them both. I prefer the first one, but Evil Within's great.
Ghostwire Tokyo looks cool. Well up for that. Hoping for so maybe a release date here. It's heavily rumored that like if we're gonna get like the big game, this will be the big game we see, and that's Starfield. This is obviously all we've seen is like 6 seconds of a teaser trailer. This is, I was looking up this beforehand. Starfield will be the first original RPG from Bethesda in 25 years, apparently. Yeah, even before it was shown off, it was long rumours that Bethesda were doing some sort of space RPG. Do we get more Starfield here, Matthew? Do you think that's the odds-on favourite to be the big game?
Yeah, I would think so. A little taster. Get some bang for your buck. You want something that you can something that's new that you can kind of rub in PlayStation fans' faces a bit if you're Xbox. I mean, we don't care. I mean, it'll all come into PC, so who cares? But yeah, something of this. I'd like to see what it actually looks like. I'm not that interested in a CG trailer of spaceships and planets with some voiceover talking about the battle for the galaxy. But I imagine that's what we'll get.
Yeah, I'd love to see gameplay because
I think when Bethesda do show stuff off at their own conferences, particularly the Bethesda Game Studios games, they've always been like pretty great at demo. When they actually show you the game, I actually really, everyone jokes about Todd Howard, but I love the kind of dip in that they do, and they basically show you lots of important stuff from throughout the game, and it isn't just like here's 10 minutes. It's quite kind of curated. I've always really loved their presentations, so I hope we get one of those, but that feels like probably too early for that kind of info dump.
Well, it depends, because even when Bethesda announced their big game, it's not... historically, going over the past couple in my head, it's not, here it is, here's a look at it, you'll be able to play it in 2 years' time. It's sort of, here it is, you'll be able to play it in 6 months. Well,
that's the other downside to that. So
I don't know if Starfield may surprise, and maybe we'll get a good look at it at this one. It would be good. Some more, maybe, I don't know, maybe you may disagree, but other games that I think that maybe are a bit more of a, long shots. Everwild, which is the game from Rare. We've got a couple of trailers on. Again, it's sort of
I think we'll see that. It clearly, the trailer stuff they showed of that wasn't super abstract. Like you could sort of try and glean some kind of ideas from what they've shown about how that game might work. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw that.
To be fair, I suppose it was announced in 2019. So
yeah, and just the last trailer of it, I thought that looks like, it was taking its action from a game that clearly exists in some form. It isn't just a load of concept art. I don't really know what it is. It looks like that's why I think it'd be great for them to say here's it's like a co-op. It looks like it's going to be sort of a co-op-y fantasy survival game or something.
Wasn't there a fish that started vomiting up smaller fish in the last trailer? That's in my head. Something like that. Another game. No, the only thing we've seen of this is it's very little. Perfect Dark. How about and this was only revealed back a couple of months ago.
I mean, really excited about the idea of more Perfect Dark. I'm a huge fan of the original.
Too early.
Said about the sequel, the better. Yeah, probably too early. Feels a bit too early.
What about State of Decay 3 from Undead Labs?
Again, would like to see it. The only reason it sticks out with State of Decay 2, that was the first thing I covered on the channel on RPS. It's sort of stuck in my head as a thing. That was, that's coming up on 3 years ago now.
2018, yeah.
Yeah. I'm really interested in this one. I think State of Decay is actually quite underrated as a series. I think it's sort of a kind of it's done a kind of Walking Dead sort of fantasy, or what that was it Days Gone was trying to go for, but in a kind of much more kind of organic, real state. It has a tension to it that Days Gone didn't have for me. even though like mechanically there's quite a lot of similarities and kind of stuff you do, creeping around and not really knowing how the world was going to behave. I think, I'm just really interested to see what they do with it.
Outer Worlds 2 is one that there's rumours around that. I don't know if they're that concrete though. It's difficult when you Google Outer Worlds and you're like, who the fuck owns Outer Worlds? Is it Obsidian? Is it Microsoft? Is it Take-Two? And it appears that like it is Obsidian's property and has been with the sale has been taken into Microsoft. But there was DLC recently. Like, I don't know, it's maybe a bit early for any sort of Outer Worlds.
Yeah, maybe a little teaser or something. I mean, I don't know. I kind of gone off Outer Worlds a bit.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. I don't know if it was doing like the bastard run and seeing like how not unelastic it was, but like doing a really evil run kind of revealed how sort of I don't know, some of the tricks it uses to kind of get you on course and how it kind of structures the mission and stuff, and some of the kind of magic of it went away a bit.
Yeah, that's fair. Speaking of magic, I'd love if this shows up. The IO dragon-themed RPG game thing. Although, no, did they say it was an RPG? They might have said it was an RPG. But yeah, a couple of months ago, rumours floating around that the Hitman studio, IO Interactive, was working on a dragon-themed IP. Whatever that is. Some sort of fantasy bollocks. But from the people who make Hitman, I'm like, oh, that sounds very interesting. And it's apparently being made either published by Microsoft or being made for the Xbox or whatever. Like if it was going to show up anywhere, it would be here. I mean, total long shot, but I'd love a look at that. I'd love to see them. I'd love to see what they would make now, like apart from Hitman, and like no, not Kane and Lynch or Mini Ninjas or whatever. Like something so different to Hitman, like a dragon-themed IP. I'd be like, yeah.
I are one of the few studios who are already making stuff that I really, really like. And so me being relatively unimaginative would be quite happy for them to carry on doing it. Yeah, sure, why not?
I'll throw some Bethesda games at you and you tell me what do you think might show up?
Yeah.
So, Elder Scrolls 6, Indiana Jones, new Prey 2, Wolfenstein 3, The Evil Within 3, Fallout 76-2, or Fallout 5. Which, out of those, what do you think might show up in some way, shape, or form?
I don't know. But I don't think Prey 2. I think you're more likely to see a Dishonored 3 teaser.
Oh, really? Even though they've said like,
I think we're more likely to see more Dishonored before we see another Prey. I would guess.
Interesting.
Based on like just pure success and interest in things.
Okay, because the last Prey was 2017.
Yeah, but it was also like, I don't know. Did it really do the business?
I think it did. It did the business critically, but I'm not sure about commercially.
You're right. I don't know about Prey. I think they'd take another roll of dice on Dishonored before they would Prey. But that is based on absolutely naffle. That's just my...
Gus. Yeah, I'd love another Prey. I wasn't that fond of the ending of Prey. Felt like it was telegraphed quite a lot, but I really enjoyed the Art Deco feeling, the kind of mixture of that with space. Obviously, all the kind of powers, the mimicry, the glue gun. I really enjoyed it. I'd love another Prey. Wolfenstein 3 makes sense. That's clearly...
But like, I was under the impression that Machine Games, they were like a one-game studio.
Are they? If they are, then we're just... Yeah, Wolfenstein maybe put on the back burner and we're just looking...
For Indiana Jones.
Like, do you think there's a better chance of, again, it might be a long shot, but do you think there's a better chance of seeing Indiana Jones than Wolfenstein?
I mean, unless that early teaser was just like an announcement of intent and,
That's what that felt like to me.
Yeah, just to kind of like, I don't know, to get a recruitment drive or whatever. But Indiana Jones, the film, is due out next year, like early next year, I think.
Right.
So the idea of trying to make Indiana Jones game come out near that would make sense, which would suggest it's far along. I must admit, I haven't really enjoyed the last couple of Wolfensteins that much.
When are you including the side stuff?
The one with the two girls in it didn't really do it for me. But I wasn't as wild about the sequel either. The
New
I can never remember their names.
New Colossus.
The Colossus. Yeah. I thought the first one was absolutely amazing. I loved the DLC, the Old Blood, was it?
Yeah.
But yeah, sequel. I didn't hate it, but it left me cold. It wasn't like I would be quite happy for them to do something else after that.
Right. Okay, well, and it might be. I don't know. Yeah, it did feel like that teaser for Indiana Jones was a teaser.
I love Indiana Jones. I'm just way more up for Indiana Jones, basically.
Elder Scrolls 6, not a chance. Surely.
Teaser, probably.
Oh, do you think we'll get a teaser?
Well, another shot of a mountain that people can write speculative articles about for the next 3 years. Ooh, that's the Dwarf Mountain.
Yeah, looking forward. And what about Fallout or Evil Within? Do you think they're
not Evil Within?
Put on ice. Right.
Again, I think they're just a one game studio. They're finishing Tokyo. Ghostwire Tokyo.
Mm-hmm.
What they do after that, I don't know. I mean, he's talked about wanting to do, other things and branch out. And, famously, the Ghostwire Tokyo kind of came from like other members of the team. It's more of a Shinji Mikami trying to sort of not step aside, but encourage the kind of team to make their own stuff, and that would suggest an interest in like new IP going forwards as well.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, that's kind of, again, like Xbox and Bethesda is probably going to be, from our point of view, from a PC point of view, the biggest, the most involved of the lot. So yeah,
the one I'm most excited about is the one that is the only one we won't cover, which is Nintendo. Just because I want them to announce that new Switch so I can get out and try and pre-order it.
I mean, they need... we won't get into Switch. They need games, though, don't they? They need to kind of announce a couple of games. But do you know what we're going to do now, Matthew? Is we're going to take a quick little break, and then we'll be back with more E3 speculation. Ooh.
Listen to the Electronic Wireless Show, rockpapershotgun.com's PC gaming podcast.
I'm Nate.
I'm Matthew.
And I'm Alice, and every Thursday we chat about our favourite things in PC games.
That could be the greatest giants, the coolest magic, or the best mysteries.
Although Alice will have to stop me making every episode all about fish, or Anthony Hopkins, or Rome.
So check out the Electronic Wireless Show every Thursday, available on all your podcatching apps or direct from rockpapershotgun.com.
E3 2021 excitement, yes. We are still very excited about E3. It's all popping off. Matthew, continuing on our look at all these press conferences and whatever else, we're getting the second Square Enix Presents on Sunday, the 13th of June at the peculiar time of 8:15. And what we know about this is a couple of confirmations. Square have confirmed Life is Strange True Colors is going to be there. That's out in like the 10th of September or something. It's not much, whatever. But the two more interesting ones that they've confirmed are Babylon's Fall and a new Eidos Montreal game. We'll talk about that in a second. Firstly, Babylon's Fall. This is the Platinum Games game that was revealed in 2018. And they've been relatively quiet since. Couple of like progression reports since then, yes, the game's still being made. Don't worry about it. Yeah, they've said this is going to be there. So surely some sort of like, here is how the game works. You slash the people, orbs pop out of them. It's sort of, I'm getting visually sort of like Dark Soulsy vibes. Big
I
armor
think
bastards.
so. I think that's sort of Dark Soulsy, but with, that kind of Devil May Cry kind of actiony kind of combat. Lots of mad sort of aerial dashing and flying around and knocking enemies up. I remember thinking this looked all right. I mean, I don't know. I do want Platinum to like absolutely nail something again, because it feels like it's been a little while since just a lot of their stuff either hasn't come out or the things I was interested in got cancelled. They're doing good stuff on Switch, but because they're, lots of people are waiting for Bayonetta 3 on Switch as well. So, we'll wait and see, I guess.
One thing that we will certainly, we won't have to wait too long on, is this new Eidos Montreal game. Now, the big rumor is that this is going to be a Guardians of the Galaxy game. This Guardians game has been known to be in development since about 2017 when they got the Marvel license, essentially. Do you remember that trailer where we saw like, here's Tony Stark's sunglasses and here's a shield and whatever else? It was basically Crystal Dynamics is going to be off making the Avengers game, and Eidos are going to be making the Guardians game. If it is the Guardians game, what shape that takes it's an interesting one to watch, because obviously Marvel's Avengers, whilst people liked the campaign, it didn't drum up enough interest for people to actually go out and buy it and kind of propel it into this great new franchise, because a lot of people were quite down on it. Like, I know you're not the biggest Marvel head. Out of all of Marvel's properties, I really enjoyed the Guardians of the Galaxy. But I really hope this isn't a games of service game.
Avengers is such a natural fit for it, in terms of like they're going around the world and there's loads of them and there's different like combinations of heroes and everything. It feels a bit more flexible. Guardians of the Galaxy, at least based on my limited understanding of it, having watched the films, they seem like quite a tight-knit little team. Like, the appeal of it is like 5 or 6 slightly kind of uneven bozos who kind of work together well. So the idea of kind of, you'd think there'd be some, not necessarily cooperative, but something that focuses on them as a team that doesn't sort of split them up so much. It's I don't know. I definitely don't see them doing a Marvel's Avengers with it.
I don't know, something more like a co-op or a kind of a story-based campaign makes more sense with Guardians, because you have a limited selection of heroes. You have your core 5, whether Thor pops up in the game as well or not. So, like, I don't know. Like Deus Ex but Guardians? Yeah, fucking sign me up.
I mean, it's quite hard to do that. The one thing I would say is that the games they have made have been about taking like a single really amazing, capable character and like leveling them up, the kind of role-playing element. I mean, how they do it, I don't know, but a kind of a role-playing game about a team where you send, instead of like equipping one person with particular skills, you send the member of the team or something that's best fit to it, or see how that plays out, like the variety of approaches. Could be interesting. I mean, like, particularly with those characters, I get the feeling that there's like a roguish sort of charm to them, where the kind of social element of like sort of bartering and being kind of con men is part of the appeal. So something, when you think about that, you think of a game which does allow action with a bit of, social, conversational stuff as well. You could sort of begin to fit bits of the puzzle to what they've done in the past.
I mean, yeah, if there was some sort of like light RPG-ness.
Sending old Rocket Raccoon into the air vents to scuttle around while Groot lifts a vending machine to chuck at someone.
I'm quite enjoying this game you're describing now. I'd like that.
To give it true dare. So what you don't want is that kind of day and age where you have like one character on screen and then you select another character and they sort of vanish and the next one pops up. That might be a bit of a hard sell.
But yeah, that's the heavy rumors that it's going to be a Guardians game.
Well, that's interesting.
A game which I mean, it's I don't know, I doubt this will show up. Forspoken, that was the game that was originally titled Project Athia.
But that seemed quite far along.
I mean, I suppose it did when I think about it. We did get a lot of gameplay,
They were showing
didn't
the
we?
action of it. They had the actress talking about like this character and stuff. That felt like a game that wasn't just here's a shot of a landscape with a voiceover going, and what will happen here?
Yeah. No,
like,
we got full on gameplay, yeah. So
Yeah.
that could show up. Might get a clearer picture as to what that is. Something Tomb Raider related, Matthew. Because they have said that, what is it? This is 25th year anniversary, I think. At the first Square Enix Presents, there was a little sizzle reel saying, this year it's going to be a big one for Lara, etc., etc. Do you think it's going to be big enough that we are going to get any announcement of a new Tomb Raider game that isn't, a kind of a bollocks free-to-play thing? Maybe even like one of those isometric...
Yeah, maybe one of those. I mean, yeah, short of them doing like another remaster, a bit like Tomb Raider Anniversary, or just announcing intention to make the next big Tomb Raider game, the kind of Indiana Jones teaser, I guess, the kind of, oh, look, here's Lara's
a pickaxe,
belt and her guns and her little satchel.
Yeah.
I'd be happy and I would rest easier knowing there is more Tomb Raider to come. It's a series I really like. I think it would be great if they did say we're going to go in this, like, I prefer more traditional Tomb Raider. My favorite Tomb Raider is the run Crystal Dynamics had before they rebooted it. I really liked Legend, Anniversary, and Underworld. I loved Underworld. And something which is a bit more fun like that, I'd be really, really up for the series to go that way rather than, carrying on the kind of something more grounded, sort of human Lara.
Right. Dragon Quest 12, I mean, they announced that a couple, or was it last week or the week before, could show up in some way, shape, or form. And Final Fantasy Origin, which, we kind of went in depth on a couple of weeks ago, which was the Neo-like, the Souls-like Final Fantasy. Well, actually, yeah, I suppose. Do you think there's a better chance of us seeing this rumoured Final Fantasy Origin or Final Fantasy 16?
I would have thought 16.
Because it's already announced and people are aware of
it. I'd be really surprised if there wasn't more 16. I mean, it might be in, like, the Sony show instead, but...
Then, a couple of series that have been dormant for a little while. Any of these you think have any hope of showing up? Deus Ex, Thief, Just Cause, and fingers crossed, Legacy of Kain. Any of them?
No, if any of them, Just Cause, but I don't. I thought 4 was just such a damp square. I just didn't seem to make any impact at all on the world.
None. Yeah. Zero. It was all, that was the weather one, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's sort of a shame, really, because I thought 3 was great. I really liked 3. And then, 4 just, I don't know. It was kind of gritty and edgy again. It was all dark and stormy, where 3 was just having fun in the sun. Which is ironically something I don't like to do. I'm an indoors person, but...
Hopefully we'll be having fun on Sunday, June the 13th, during Warner Brothers thing. This is going to be, you'd imagine, fairly short, because how many games are we going to get, really, from Warner Brothers? The thing that they have confirmed is we're going to get a little look at Back 4 Blood. We've seen a lot of that. That's out in October. Obviously, then you have their slate of superhero games. So you've Gotham Knights, which was delayed into next year. You've Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League, which we haven't heard in. That's meant to be out next year. And also, is the little curveball, Injustice 3. Because we spoke about Forza and it, being Motorsport Horizon. NetherRealm normally go Injustice Mortal Kombat. It's Injustice's time to shine. Out of those 3 superhero video games, what do you think has the best chance of showing up during this Warner Brothers thing? If it is more than just Back 4 Blood.
I would think both Gotham Knights and Suicide Squad.
Oh, you think both of them? Okay.
Gotham Knights, a bigger gameplay deep dive. Suicide Squad, either another taser or another teaser, or an actual kind of like an indication of what the game, be a bit more explicit about what it's going to be. I would think so. Suicide Squad, like the film's out this year. It feels like a good time to kind of jump on Suicide Squad like mania. I would hope so. God, it's been so long. I mean, it is coming up on like, is it 7 years now since Arkham Knight, which is quite a long time to and outside of the VR game, it's quite a long time to not have a big Rocksteady game.
Yeah, actually, yeah, you're right. That was 2015, wasn't it? Shit, it was a long time ago. What about Injustice though? Like the last Injustice was 2017, I think, wasn't it? It kind of makes sense. I have a real soft spot for NetherRealm's fighting games.
Okay.
I do really enjoy Mortal Kombat and Injustice. I think they're like, for people like me who have no interest in fighting games, I'll rephrase it. In like getting into the nitty gritty and losing myself in the fighting game world, it's like, no, I've no interest in that. I'll pick up a game and kind of, learn a couple of combos and whatever. I think NetherRealm hit the sweet spot when it comes to their games. And I really liked the last Injustice.
I like the absolutely ludicrous special attacks where, like Superman punches you into like through the sun and things like that.
It's terrific. It's terrific. I'd definitely be up for
the one? What's
more
that? Is it the Flash who like runs around the world to get the run up to punch you in the face?
That's quality. Give me a new Injustice. And I suppose the other two I could throw at you. Hogwarts Legacy. Now we know that that's kind of been, the development of that has been a little bit wayward. I'd say that's maybe a bit of a long shot.
Mm-hmm.
What about Middle Earth? Shadow of blank. This has just popped into my head. It's been a while now since we got the last one. Do you remember a couple of months ago they patented the Nemesis system?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's a shame the Nemesis system is tied to such a completely fine game. I'd love it if we could get the Nemesis system elsewhere, but hey ho, I suppose. But yeah, any hope of either? Do you think Hogwarts Legacy or a new Middle Earth Shadow of blank?
I think Hogwarts again was what they showed was looked reasonably far along and sort of fully featured. Maybe they're timing it to be closer to the films or whatever. I keep saying this. I keep thinking about.
Is there a new Harry Potter film?
Well, there'll be another Fantastic Beasts.
Oh, that where
to stick them.
I forgot that existed. Yeah,
all that stuff. I'd be up for more Middle Earth. I quite like the last one. I thought it was better than the first. Like a bit more characterful. Like I enjoyed interacting with the orcs. Is they orcs? They're orcs.
I think so. Was it the last one that had the sexy spider lady that turned into a? Or was she a sexy spider lady? Or was she a sexy lady that turned into a scary spider? I think it was that one.
I think that was the last one.
Yeah.
I don't know. They're weird. Like the actual Lord of the Rings-ness of them, I don't really care for. Like the attempt to kind of like do the sort of slightly grittier, harder take on like that lore. It's not lore I kind of particularly care for in the first place. But the whole kind of messing with the sort of social structure of that army and everything is such a great hook. And, they only went deeper on it last time. It was a little drawn out. The last one was so long. Like you had to do the process of like bringing down the kind of big armies, like the amount of kind of setup you had to do. I don't think I ever finished it. For example, I should probably go back to that. But happily have more of that. Plus, like no one else seems to really be doing the Arkham combat thing anymore. After a while, where it seemed that everyone was doing it, everyone's suddenly above it a bit now, where it's still a really good combat system. So,
quality, yeah.
Yes, please.
Then on Monday we have Capcom. Things Capcom's an interesting one because like I'm not entirely sure what it would be their big game that they would be showing. Like Monster Hunter Stories 2 is out in July or August. It's out in the summer anyway. It's out relatively soon. So like you're kind of looking at RE/Reverse, whatever it's called, and the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. And that's kind of it, isn't it? Like in terms of what's on their slate. Like when you look at what could be the rumors, then you get into stuff like Resident Evil 4 Remake, Street Fighter 6, Dragon's Dogma 2. Like out of all those, what is the Resident Evil 4 Remake, I'd imagine, would be the one that you would hope.
In that. I'm not a big Dragon Dogma guy, but not because I didn't like it, just didn't play masses of it. But it's a game which has been evangelized to me by so many people who are of good opinions. That I know that would be a big deal and probably a good and interesting thing. Resident Evil 4 mainly of that. I mean, really, the only thing that matters with them, and they've already announced, which is the Great Ace Attorney localization. So, Capcom, they're in the good books.
Not a lot to look forward to when it comes to Capcom, is there? Like, unless they do end up,
whatever they've got, it would be known about because they had that mega leak.
The leak,
which has been proven true time and time again. So I didn't really look into it at the time, mainly because I was worried it'd be full of Resident Evil Village spoilers and Ace Attorney spoilers and things like that. So
Street Fighter 6 makes sense. I think that might have been in that leak. It's also been a long time. But the thing is, Ono has since left, and I don't know whether that will or how much that would impact the development of Street Fighter 6. I suppose a chunk. But it feels like time, I suppose, for a Street Fighter 6. So Capcom's an interesting one. I suppose we'll see what they announce at this.
We forgot there was that weird thing about the astronaut. Do you remember that?
No. Capcom
when they announced PlayStation 5, there was a Capcom game. It was it looked like it could be Kojima's new thing. It was like an astronaut in New York, in Times Square. Pragmata.
Ah.
Do you remember that?
I do.
That
with Gabriel Byrne.
It's got it really looked like a Kojima thing because it looked like the astronaut figure. It's like an astronaut and a little girl standing on the moon, but also some weird ass sort of swirly stuff going on in an American city.
Then on Tuesday we've Bandai Namco. There's one game really. It's Elden Ring. It's Elden Ring all day long. Elden Ring is showing up, Matthew, isn't it?
I mean, yeah, I like that. I know the Elden Ring thing online is the big joke about how obsessed everyone, but I like, if you're not a From Software person, it just seems, the whole thing seems totally daft and overblown. You're like, yeah, I mean, okay. Yeah, I'm sure he'll make his game again that everyone likes. I don't know. I don't get it. I refuse to buy into the kind of meme culture around Elden Ring. Sorry to be a killjoy.
I don't actually know what the meme culture around Elden Ring is.
Well, just that, the hope and excitement for it and the disappointment when it doesn't turn up. I don't know. People talk about it like it was announced 15 years ago. It wasn't that long ago. You haven't had to wait that long, compared to fans of some games.
When it was announced, had the last series of Game of Thrones happened? I'm trying to remember, because that's obviously soured.
I don't think it had.
I think that's obviously soured people's opinions on that series as a whole, and maybe George or Martin to an extent as well. But
yeah, I mean, it was announced at E3 2019. I mean, come on. We've waited longer for things. I mean,
I don't know what else Bandai would show, though. That is their... there's the Dark Pictures House of Ashes thing. Maybe, again, it seems like the year of fighting games. Maybe there's a Tekken 8 brewing. But, I don't know.
Probably some other some kind of anime fighting game.
I suppose maybe
that happens a lot. Maybe, heaven forbid, something actually new. A lot of this stuff is based on like, which of these sort of sequels do we think people are going to sort of cynically, endlessly return to when, you know, you sometimes have a burst of innovation with a new console generation.
Well, I suppose we're kind of talking about just everything, mishmash of things. So just loads of different stuff, Matthew. Uncharted 4 on PC has basically been confirmed. Do you think we get, or do you hope we get any more kind of confirmation of other things coming to PC, other Sony stuff?
I mean, those are the only two they announced. Like, I wouldn't say no to God of War, but haven't they said that they're going to keep that a console exclusive?
It's delayed as well. I think
well, like
Jim Ryan,
one, you know, if they released old God of War on PC, you know.
Yeah. Do we see much from EA, do you think, apart from Battlefield? Because they have EA Play in July. Do you think like Mass Effect, Dragon Age?
No, wait. Yes, but at EA Play.
Yeah.
Why step on their toe? You know, they're not gonna. They've decided to avoid the scrum of the din of streams. So
then 2K, and as I said, it's really weird. Some people are saying they are doing their presentation. I don't know if they are, but a couple of rumors coming from them. One is that there is a Marvel XCOM from Firaxis, and the other is we are getting. I think I saw a description of it. It was like a mixture between Cthulhu and something mad. I can't remember what it was, but a new game from Hangar 13 called or codenamed Volt. What about a Marvel XCOM, Matthew? Do you think that works? Can you see that?
Yeah, definitely. Like those tactical battles, I think they kind of work with like whatever you plug into them, but something which is more like character led rather than slightly generic soldiers. Did you ever play? There was a 3DS game called Ghost Recon Shadow Wars, which was Julian Gollop, aka Mr. Original XCOM guy, made, and it was like very kind of you know. It's turn-based tactics game,
right?
But with like fixed units with fixed powers. I think that model can work. You know, it doesn't just have to be the kind of the wider strategy of unit types. I think you can take just characters with more fixed abilities and a bit like
I was just gonna say Chimera Squad, like they.
Yeah, I mean, if anything, if you know, now that we know now that this Marvel XCOM has allegedly leaked or been rumored,
proof of concept,
Chimera Squad makes even more sense as a prototype for like playing with something which is a bit more character led and what that would look like and how you can still kind of pile the pressure